Michael Jackson didn't notice the scam at first, not because he wasn't smart, but because he trusted people longer than he should have. The manager smiled, shook hands, promised loyalty, and quietly moved numbers around like nobody would ever check. Then, one night, one missing page and one overheard sentence made Michael stop cold. And when Michael finally spoke, he used 4 words that didn't sound dramatic, but they bankrupted the man. It was 1994 in Atlanta, during a tour stop that had already been stressful before the doors even opened. The arena was sold out, the crew was behind schedule. A lighting rig had failed during rehearsal and been fixed just in time. One more problem and the whole night would feel cursed. Michael's team was spread thin. Security, dancers, band, techs, assistants, everyone moving fast, everyone tired. And in the center of all of it was a man named Gordon Price. Gordon wasn't a performer. He wasn't a creative. He was a manager, the kind who lived in spreadsheets and contracts, who spoke in calm sentences that made chaos seem manageable. He carried a leather binder like it was part of his body. He wore clean suits even in hallways that smelled like sweat and cables. He told Michael things like, "Don't worry, I'll handle it. I already took care of that. We're protected." And for a long time, it sounded like comfort. Because when you're Michael Jackson, handling it means handling a hurricane. Gordon had been brought in after a period where too many people around Michael had been careless. The pitch had been simple. "I'll keep your world clean. I'll keep you safe. I'll make sure nobody takes advantage." And Michael, who wanted peace more than he wanted control, had believed him. That night in Atlanta, Gordon stood near the production desk, flipping through paperwork while the stage manager called time cues. He spoke quietly into a phone, nodding, smiling, moving like he owned the schedule. Michael passed by in the corridor in a simple warm-up jacket, head slightly down, focused. Gordon looked up and offered his usual reassurance. "Everything's set," he said. "You're good." Michael nodded without stopping. But 2 minutes later, something tiny happened that Gordon didn't notice. A runner, an intern named Tasha, came flying down the hall with a printout in her hand, panic all over her face. "Tom," she called to the stage manager, "we have a problem with the payout list." Tom frowned. "What problem?" Tasha held up the sheet. "The numbers don't match the settlement report from last week. It's off by a lot." Tom's jaw tightened. "Off how?" Tasha swallowed. 6 figures. That word, 6 figures, made the hallway go quiet in a way only money can. Tom grabbed the paper. "Where did you get this?" "Accounting office faxed it," Tasha said. "They said the deposit instructions changed." Tom's eyes narrowed. "Changed by who?" Tasha hesitated, then said the name. "Gordon." Tom glanced down the corridor toward Gordon, who was still flipping pages like nothing existed outside his binder. Tom looked back at Tasha. "Go find me the original," he said. "Now." Tasha sprinted away. Tom turned and started walking toward Gordon, but he wasn't fast enough to stop what happened next, because Michael was already there. Michael had come back down the corridor quietly, drawn by the tension the way he always was. He wasn't the kind of star who stayed in his bubble when something felt wrong. He noticed moods. He noticed energy. He saw Tom's face, saw the paper, saw the way people suddenly looked nervous around Gordon. Michael stepped closer. "What's going on?" he asked softly. Tom hesitated. He didn't want to stress Michael before showtime. But Michael's eyes were steady. Tom handed him the paper. Michael read it quickly. He didn't need to understand every accounting code to see one thing: the destination account name. It wasn't the charity account that had been used before. It wasn't the touring company's standard settlement account either. It was a personal-sounding name. Michael looked up slowly. "Whose account is this?" he asked. Gordon turned with a practiced smile. "Michael, nothing to worry about, just routing. It's—" Michael held the paper higher. "Whose name is this?" he repeated, calm but sharper. Gordon's smile stayed frozen for half a second too long. "It's a holding account," he said. "Temporary." Tom stepped in. "That's not authorized." Gordon's tone tightened. "Tom, not now?" Michael didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He looked at Gordon and said quietly, Explain it. Gordon exhaled like he was dealing with children. Michael, these venues take forever to settle. I created a faster channel. It helps cash flow. It's smart. Michael stared at him. And why is it in your name? Michael asked. Gordon's eyes flicked away, just once. It's under a business entity, he said. You're overthinking this. That sentence, you're overthinking this, was the first real mistake Gordon made. Because it wasn't just dismissive, it was the kind of arrogance that tells a person, I think you're too soft to fight back. Michael nodded slowly, as if processing. Then he did something nobody expected. He turned to Tom and said, Bring me the full settlement history. Tom blinked. Now? Michael nodded. Now. Gordon stepped forward quickly, voice lowering. Michael, you don't have time for this. You're on and... Michael held up a hand. Gordon stopped mid-sentence. And the hallway felt different. Because for the first time, Gordon looked smaller than Michael's calm. Tom motioned to Tasha, who had returned with the original settlement paperwork. She handed it over with shaking hands. Michael compared the pages. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He read slowly, carefully, like someone who knew that calm is the sharpest weapon in a room full of liars. Then Michael looked up. Where's the missing page? He asked. Gordon frowned. Missing page? Michael held up the packet. This report has 5 pages. This one has 4. Where's page 5? Gordon's jaw tightened. Probably a copier error. Michael stared at him. Then Michael asked one more question. Soft, deadly. Why is the signature box blank? Tom inhaled sharply. Gordon's face drained a shade. Because he knew Michael wasn't guessing anymore. Michael was proving. Gordon tried to smile again. Michael, listen, this is all admin stuff. You shouldn't be dealing with it. Michael leaned slightly closer. I am dealing with it, he said quietly. And then Gordon made his second mistake. He tried to play the room. He turned to Tom, voice sharp. This is why artists shouldn't run finances. Michael didn't flinch. Instead, he looked at Gordon with a calm that felt almost gentle. And he said the 4 words that changed everything. Freeze every account. Tonight. The hallway went dead silent. Gordon blinked. You can't. Michael didn't raise his voice. Tom, Michael said, still calm, call legal. Call the bank. Right now. Tom didn't hesitate. He pulled out his phone immediately. Gordon stepped forward, panic rising. Michael, you're making a mistake. Michael finally looked him straight in the eyes. No, he said. You did. Gordon's voice cracked into anger. Do you know what you're doing? You can't just freeze accounts. You'll stop payroll. You'll cause chaos. Michael nodded once. Good, he said. Gordon froze. Good? Michael's voice stayed low. Because chaos is what happens when someone is stealing, Michael said, not when someone stops it. Gordon's confidence started collapsing. He tried bargaining. Michael, I was going to move it back, he said. It was temporary. Michael didn't argue. He didn't debate. He didn't ask for another explanation. He simply stepped back and said, Step away from my team. Security moved immediately, not roughly, but decisively. Gordon's binder was taken. His phone was taken. His access badge was removed like it was nothing. Gordon's face turned red with humiliation. This is insane, he snapped. You're going to regret this. Michael didn't react. He turned to Tom and said, Make sure everyone gets paid. Tom nodded. Yes. Michael looked at Tasha, who was still shaking. Thank you for bringing that, he said softly. Tasha blinked, stunned. I thought I'd get in trouble. Michael shook his head. You did the right thing. Then Michael did the most Michael thing possible. He walked toward the stage entrance like the conversation didn't matter anymore. Because the show was still happening. And his job, his real job, was to give the audience a night they'd never forget, even while his world was cracking behind the curtain. He went on stage, and he performed like nothing was wrong. That's what made everyone backstage even more shaken. While legal calls were being made and accounts were being frozen, Michael was out there moving like lightning, singing like the building was on fire. The next morning, the real damage hit Gordon. Because freezing every account didn't just stop the current scam, it exposed the trail. Auditors dug in. The missing page was found in a folder that had no reason to exist. Transfers were traced, side accounts were discovered, payments that should have gone to staff had been delayed while Gordon skimmed fees off the top. The numbers weren't small. They were life-changing for him and devastating for everyone else. Within a week, Gordon wasn't just fired. He was sued. Contracts were voided. His business partners dropped him. Banks shut him down. Clients vanished. In the entertainment world, trust is currency, and Gordon had just burned his. By the end of the year, he wasn't managing anyone. He was fighting to keep his own lights on. And the part nobody expected? Michael didn't celebrate. He didn't gloat. He didn't give interviews about betrayal. He quietly made sure the missing money was restored to the people it was meant for. Bonuses for crew, payments to charities, back pay for vendors who had been waiting too long. Because to Michael, the goal was never revenge. It was repair. A month later, Tasha received a small envelope through the touring office. Inside was a note in neat handwriting. "Thank you for being brave." No signature, no spotlight, just gratitude. And that's how people knew the story was true. Because the man who got cheated didn't turn it into drama. He turned it into protection. All with 4 words that sounded simple. And ended a greedy manager's entire life in the business. If this story stayed with you, please like and subscribe. And share it with someone who needs a reminder that quiet strength is still strength. Have you ever caught something wrong that everyone else missed? Tell us in the comments and hit the notification bell for more untold documentary-style stories from the world of music.